Hey my friends, how you doing? The man with the red beard is back, and I'm back to doing 2 videos per week. Today we're gonna do a really cool project, which is this holographic projection from the hands of this woman. This is how it looked before, and this is what we will create today. My name is Olivio. I'm a professional designer from Vienna, Austria, and I want to thank all of my patrons who support me and make these videos possible. That's super important. Thank you very much, and let's get started. Another thing I want to tell you, by the way, is because I am back and the summer break is over, I'm doing a sale on all of my pro packs that I have created so far. So the brushes, the portrait effects, which will both be used in this project, then the slideshow designs and the LUT pack all together for 50% off, which is really good. And it's just until this Friday, so just a little welcome back thing. And then I will create a new digital product for this month, and you can vote on what kind of product it should be also until this Friday. So please use the link in the video description. Okay, enough of that. Let's get started with the video. So as you can see here, we have this portrait. It's coming as a holographic projection from her hand. There's a little bit of light on her face, and as you can see in the original picture, her face is actually looking down onto the hand, so we will rotate that up a little bit. So a lot of interesting information throughout the video, and I hope I remember everything I have done to prepare this file. Let's delete all of the layers and start fresh. Good. So the first thing we're going to do is the holographic head, and that's actually the easiest part, because this is part of my portrait effect collection, which I showed you a second before. So you can draw in here any picture and this effect will be applied because it's already here in all these layers. What I need to do here is I need to resize the picture a little bit. By the way, all of the portrait effects are in 4K, so that's also good to know. They're really high resolution, and we only need this in a smaller size for this case. I will crop the picture a little bit. Let's do it like that. I can leave the background in because I will brush it out afterwards with a mask. So let's just hit enter here and then go to edit and copy flatten, and then go over to my picture and go here and say edit paste. And we can resize this a little bit like that, so we get it in the right position. You can see it's a really high resolution because the portrait effects all of them are in 4K. The next step is that we put the head in the right size. Maybe like this is good, and then I will just rasterize it so it's getting smaller. We don't have the original resolution still in the picture because this will just take up memory that we don't need. Okay, so the next thing we can do is to rotate the head. The way we're going to do this is very simple, and we are lucky that her hair is hanging in front of her face. So we have a black line here, and also the rest of the head is obstructed, or like, how can I say, hidden by the blackness of the background. So that's very good for us. I will just take the lasso tool here on the left side, then go to my layer with the picture, and I will just select these parts here that I need, like that, and back to her head like this. Whoop! So we have her head. Now I can zoom out, and I will press Ctrl C and Ctrl V on the keyboard to copy it, and then Ctrl D to deselect. Now I will use my move tool, but I'm not going to rotate it right away, because what we need to take into consideration is, where is the rotation point? Where does our head rotate? Of course, at the neck where the head is sitting. So we click up here, enable transformation origin, this little dot, like that, so you can now see it, and you move it back where you guess that the origin of the head is. I would say probably here. Okay, so now by holding Control and rotating my mouse wheel, I can zoom out, and I can now rotate, and you can see it rotates from the origin of her neck point. So this is actually looking natural, and we can rotate it in a way where it looks like she's actually looking at the holographic portrait that we will put in front of her. Okay. Good. So now that we've done that, we don't have to fix, or we can fix the background right away, actually. Let's create a new pixel layer like that. And then I will just zoom in here and take my brush, just a normal brush. What is it set to? Let's set it to a normal round brush. I will click here on more and make the spacing smaller, so it's very smooth. You can see here spacing, set it to a smaller setting. And you get this window by clicking up here on more. And we can color pick the black color here. It looks black, but maybe it's not complete black. So it's always better to pick the color first. And now I will set the hardness a little bit higher, and I will make the size a little bit smaller, like this. And now we can simply paint over these areas where we have a little bit of the face left. And that's already actually enough. Maybe here a little bit. Good. Which covers the duplicate parts of her face. You can see here. So now it actually looks like this was the position her head was photographed in. So that's a very simple trick. The reason why I make this on an extra layer is so when I want to go back or when I want to move the head in a different position, I can always do that. By the way, always name your layer so you know later on what's going on. So black head cover is this, and this is the head copy. Okay, and this is the holo head. Okay, so that we know this. So the next thing I'm going to do is to create a mask for the head, because we don't want to have this white frame around it, of course. So with the head layer selected, we click down here on the mask layer, and the mask is applied to the head. You might wonder why I don't just erase the parts that I don't need. Again, the same reason. If I decide to go back and change something, I can change it in the mask, but if I erase something, it's gone forever. So that's not the best step to take. Okay, the way I do this, and this is the first moment where my brush pack is coming in use, is I go over to brushes. Down here you see Ollie's Brush Volume 1 Pro Edition, where you have all these different brushes in here. And here I have glitch error brushes, and these fit very well with what I want to do. So let's resize them a little bit. They're a little bit too big, like that. And now you can see here that I can paint on the mask again with the black color to make it transparent, to make the mask basically active. But what is happening is that we have here a glitch texture in the background. So it's never going to be completely black. The way to change this, and of course you can adapt any kind of brush you have in Affinity Photo, is again by clicking on more, and then you go to textures, and here you can see we have our base texture, which is the texture in the background. We can simply remove that, and now when I brush again, you can see that this is becoming completely black, which is very helpful for us. So we get like these glitchy borders around the face. Not too close, because I will go closer with a brush setting that has a reduced opacity. So we have, how can I say, a reduced effect, a reduced visibility of that. You will see in a second. Let's just do this, and you can see it has a nice effect where we have this kind of glitched edge of our hologram, which is very useful for us. Okay, cool. So now I will reduce my opacity, let's say to 20%, and I can brush over the edges a little bit to make them translucent. Not completely, just a little bit like that. And I will raise my opacity to maybe 80% like this, and then maybe make my brush bigger, 100. Ah, that's too big. Okay, let's go with, let's see. Okay, that's good. And brush here a little bit so we get some more errors in our hologram, like that. Good. Okay, so now that we've done this, Interestingly enough, there is some parts down here that I don't want to have. Let's take the eraser. Let's make the other parts invisible for a moment so I can see. It doesn't look like there is anything here, but apparently there's something. Okay. Doesn't matter. It's because, of course, the picture is bigger than the mask. Oh, no. No, it's different. Okay, good. So now that we have fixed this, what I'm going to do next is I want to have a light projection that looks like light coming from a light projector. And you can do this very easily. So the way you do this is very easy, fast trick. You create a new pixel layer like this, and then actually I have to say, the lines are a bit too hard to see, so I want to do this step actually again. Let's make this real quick. It's always good to see, does it work, does it not work, and then if it doesn't work, don't worry to go back to redoing this step. So let's zoom this out a little bit, maybe like this. We have already seen the steps, so I can go quicker this time. Let's blur this maybe a little bit stronger this time, like that. Okay, use the perspective tool again. Single plane on the hands. Good. Okay, that's pretty important. It's never too late to go back and correct something when you think it doesn't look the way you want. It's always better to correct it and have a better result in the end than to stay with a result that you don't like. There we go. Okay, I think that's better. That's a lot better. Good. So again, use our recolor adjustment and go to screen for our pixel layer as we've done before, like that. Change the color to a nice blue, like this. And also set our source range for the blend ranges like this. And that is, I think, looks a lot better than before. Okay, cool. So now that we've done this, I'm going to also create a mask. So I select the pixel layer. Let's call this Projector Light. There we go. And click here on mask layer. And now again, I will use a soft brush, not a glitch brush, but a soft brush in this case, because this is just light. So again, the round brush, set it to black. I think it's already black as the color, and just brush away the parts that we don't need on the outside, like this. Okay, good. That's good enough. And don't worry if it looks a little bit strange at the moment, because we will add some additional effects. So another thing you can do to make this look more like a projection is that I will simply duplicate the picture, duplicate, and then I will use the lower layer and I will blur that, Gaussian blur. Like this, you can see it gets a light, kind of a shine around it. It comes from the background, so the foreground stays sharp, but the background gets a little bit of a halo. And to intensify this effect, we are also going to use some outer glow, like this, and set it again to a blue color. Let's see, like this, for example. Okay, that looks neat. Very nice. Okay, so the next things we want to do is we want to have some projection rays coming from her hand. And I'm doing this in several layers. And the way I'm doing this is that I will use simply the triangle tool up here. And I will make the stroke blue, a light blue, like that, and I will make the fill color empty, so we only have a stroke like this. So you can see we have lights coming from the hand. And so the next thing that I'm doing is that I will move this here, so I have a source point in the hand where I want the lines to come from. And after that, The only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use the node tool to move, oops, oh, sorry, I have to, before I can do that, right click on my triangle and say convert to curves. That's important. Convert to curves. There we go. So now these are lines and I have node points on the ends, and this will allow me to move these node points around. So after I've done this, I can simply use these points like that, and I can then simply with this layer, curve layer still selected, simply press Control J on my keyboard like George, and this will duplicate the layer. And so this means I always have the same starting point, but I can move around these node points. You can see I can really quickly create a lot of these projection points in my picture, move that anywhere I want, to give it like this kind of idea of having lines that are creating the image. Like that. Okay, let's do some more over here maybe. Good. I think that's more than enough. Okay, good. So the next thing I'm doing is I'm selecting all of these lines. So I'm doing this by clicking on the upper layer of the curves, holding shift and clicking on the lower layer of these curves, so all in between are selected. And then I click Control and G on my keyboard. So I will call this laser lines 1, because we will have to do a copy of that. The reason for the copy is that I want to have some in the background, but I also want to have some in the foreground. The way I'm doing this is, again, of course, I copy this, duplicate, and I can put this on top of the face. And you will now think, hey, there is too much lines in the face. And we have these end lines that we don't need. There's a very simple trick to do this. And this is, again, creating a mask that is now sitting inside of our group. And with this, I can simply paint, again, taking my brush with a black color. Let's set this to black. Make it a little bit smaller, maybe like this. And now I can simply go around here and let these lines end wherever I think it's a good idea to end them. Okay, here they overlap, which is maybe not the best of ideas. Also, I want to have this a little bit harder. The brush, well, let's make it like this. It doesn't have to look like the thing I showed you in the preparation file. It's not a problem. These lines are too close to each other. I will fix them real quick. Let's see which lines they are. These are the lines I'm searching for. Move this over here. This looks good. I think we keep it like that. Let's go back to our mask and the brush and just go like this. Let's see, put this on the mouth. We can put this on the edge of the face like that, and like this over here. These are a little bit close maybe. I can make my brush smaller if I want to, that's okay. Let's go like that. Okay, cool, good. We have a little bit in the background also. We can fix this again by creating a mask and just brushing out the parts that we don't want to have here, like that. That's okay. And so I can go back to my laser line. Let's call this laser line 2. There we go. And here again, I can use some glow effects on my lines so they look more like laser light. Like this, for example. That's very nice. Okay, let's zoom out to get a small overview of what is happening at the moment. That's okay. I think I want to try here with the mask to have these the layers who are on top a little bit reduced throughout their existence, basically. So let's see. Let's draw here a little bit on those. make this a little bit stronger. So it's not too uniform, maybe, if you know what I mean. Getting a little bit more interesting action into our laser paths. Let's see. Okay, it's interesting. Let's go to inner glow. Should we? Nah, let's not go to inner glow. Okay, good. Let's see if we could set this to screen. No, let's leave this as they are. That's good. Let's see if the others look better with screen on. No, also not. Okay, so let's leave them as they are. Let's put some glow on the others too, maybe. Like that. Again, change the color. So these kind of things, there's a lot of back and forward, of course, included. So you try out different effects, see if they work or not. I think I went a little bit too hard on this hiding things. Oh, that was too much. So I want to bring that back. Because this is kind of strange to have these holes in here. I didn't consider that. Let's make this a little bit stronger. Good. Yeah, but that's pretty okay. Cool. Bring this down a little bit over here and move this over here a little bit like that. Okay, that looks good. All right. So next thing I want to do is to work with the brushes. So I'm going to create a pixel layer on top of my layers, and I'm going to duplicate the mask that I've created for my head like this and put it onto the pixel layer, so this will have the same limitations basically. And now I'm going to use different parts of my brushes here. So I have these other glitch brushes that I've created for the pack, and I will use them with let's see, with blue color, of course, for our nice hologram effect. Let's see. So here we have the brushes. Let's see what we get out of that. This is a bit too big. Let's make this green. No. This is too big. Okay, one second. Okay, let's reduce the mask so we can just see what we're doing. And I will paint on some of these effects here. Okay. Let's set the brush also to screen. Oh, it is in screen mode. Okay, that's good. So I just want to add some more effects to our hologram. I can brush this out afterwards with the mask, so that's not a problem right now. Let's see, what else are we going to use? Have we already used this one? Let's use this one a little bit maybe. So this looks a little bit different than what I have created in the preview, as you've seen, but that's not a problem at all. It's always, every kind of creative process needs to be a little bit his own thing, basically, you know what I mean? Okay, so now that we've done this, again, I will use a mask to reduce the effect that I've just created by, again, turning off here or removing this kind of texture in the background, so I get a complete black mask like that. Let's go and make this smaller. How big is this now? Okay, that's good. Okay, so let's brush around the edges of my hologram so we can cover up all the things that we don't need over here. And you can see that this looks pretty cool. There we go. Okay, we are closing into the final version. That looks actually pretty nice. I really like that. Okay, that's cool. Good. I will try maybe to see if another glow effect on this layer does not look good. Okay. That question was answered very quickly. Let's see if the where do we actually have the glow? Outer glow. Here we have it. Make it a little bit bigger maybe. Yeah, that's actually better. Okay, cool. So the next thing that we want to do is to create the shine of the light on her face. That's very important. So we only want to have it on the face, which means we do it below the hologram that we have created. So this is created of two different layers, basically. One layer will just be the highlights that we can paint in, and the other one will be a light halo that's coming from the source that she's looking at, which is not only her hands but also the hologram. Okay, so let's do this real quick. So I will create a new pixel layer, and in that pixel layer I will use my gradient tool like this. So just drag it out, and it looks horrible at the moment because we have to set it up. So I will change the type to radial, and then I will go in here and set this to a blue color. Any kind of blue color we do for the moment. Don't worry too much about that. And I will set it to blue colors on both sides because I want to fade it from blue to blue, but also from 100% to a 0% opacity. So you can see it's going from blue to blue, but on the right side here, I will reduce the opacity to 0. And so we have this nice glowing light in our picture. And I will move this over, not here, but a little bit more over here. So I have a nice halo that's going over her body and face a little bit like that. Okay, that's cool. So we can keep this. And let's see. Let's call this halo. Good. Okay, I will turn this off now because I need to see what's going on when I create another pixel layer, and this will be the highlights. There we go. Okay, highlights. Good. So with the highlight layer created, what we're going to do is a very easy and quick trick, and that is we're simply going to take a round brush like this one here again, set the color again to a blue, a nice blue. Like that. Okay, good. And set it to a nice size that we can use. That looks good. Reduce the hardness. Okay, that's good. And now I'm simply painting here a little bit and on her face a little bit. And where else do we need some? Maybe here on her legs a little bit. And this is the dark area, not there. Good. And so the only thing we need to do now, let's brush on this several times like that. So because we have set it up to screen, so screen means the more you brush on it, the brighter it gets. So it has a little bit of a glowy effect already. And now to make this work, I'm going to set it to, let's say, overlay. That looks good. And then I'm just going to blur it. And you will see the loop. Just by blurring it, this looks already pretty cool, right? Pretty nice. Okay, so we still have the halo. So we can turn the halo on, put it on top of it all, and again set this to overlay or soft light. Let's set it to soft light. Okay, good. And we don't, as you can see here, and if I turn, and this, you should do this often, turn on and off things that you create, you can see that this is influencing also the background. We don't want that. So what we're going to do to fix that is that we are creating again a mask layer. So you can see now that we have a mask layer on our halo, and we want to have everything invisible. And the easy way to do that is with the mask layer selected, go here to layer and invert. So boom, now it's not visible anymore. And now we take again our brush and set it to a white color so we make things visible again. And I want to set this actually to a bigger size now, like this. And you can see now I can just paint over the areas where I actually want to have this light effect happening, maybe a little bit on her body too. like that, and on her legs like this. Okay, good. And so now we have this light effect, as you can see, but just in the areas where we need it and not on the background, which is pretty important. Okay, I would say we're done here. I think it looks pretty cool. Let's compare this again to the layer that we have had before, or the starting picture. So this is the picture we started with, and this is the picture with the holographic effect that we created. Looks very different from the picture I showed you at the beginning, but I think looks pretty cool, and I'm looking forward to see what you create with that. Please take time to vote on what kind of digital project you want to have next, or product. And also take advantage, if you want to, of the summer sale offer with 50% off. Thank you very much for watching. See you in the next video. Have a good night. Bye.